of the problems with believing in miracles is the fact that God just doesn't give them routinely out at the corner drugstore, you know, for a dime or a quarter or whatever, or just for free if you don't happen to have anything. And then they don't just shower down. Why don't they just shower down on us all the time? What's this thing about only coming here and having one now or having one tomorrow? And so I want you to think on the fact that God allows our non-miraculous way of living to occur. He allows that. Now, he doesn't have to, but he does. And the very fact that we prefer to do things our way means we don't prefer to do things God's way. And if you get a miracle, it's going to be representative of His way, not yours. So, miracles are ready and available for us, but the problem is us. We're going to shut, and what probably will happen is we'll just shut our minds to them. This is just a real simple example, but I'll share it with you. Normally, I just don't experience fear, generally speaking. This doesn't happen. And every time however, it doesn't mean I'm immune to it. It has to do with where you put your mind. So this morning, well, when I get in the car, I always, first thing I say is, kind of taking it from something Abraham suggests, is I intend safety and a keen awareness of other drivers' intentions, and then I end with something from the Course. I rest in God. That means God is in charge, not me. And so if someone swerves in front of me, it just doesn't upset me. If someone almost runs all over me, it still just doesn't upset me. If they do run over me, it still doesn't upset me. I just get out of the car and see how bad the problem is. In fact, come to think about it, a couple of weeks ago, I had pulled up behind somebody, and I had remembered to say what I almost always do remember to say. And I was this far from him or so, and anyway, pretty close. And I thought he was going to go on, but he stopped, so I stopped, and I was waiting for him to go on so I could go too. And I was looking at him, and all of a sudden I saw his car was coming at me. He had just decided to back up, not bother to look yet, and I realized that there was no time to even honk the horn. He was just going to hit me in a second here. Kaboom, he hit my car. No concern here. I don't feel concerned about that. If you looked at my car, you'd say, well, I understand why you don't feel concerned. It's beaten, banged here and there, so what's another one? You
might improve it.
Who cares?
Knock it then out.
Maybe improve it, I don't know. And I just sat in the car, and the guy up there, I could tell he was upset, and he was controlling it, but no matter. Oh, the first thing out of his mouth, why are you so damn close to my car? Something like that, you know. That might not be an exact words, but it conveys the energy you have. Well, that doesn't concern me either. And not worth a reply, you know. I'm not going to explain why I parked this far away from his car instead of that far or that far.
So was your car hit?
Yeah. And like I said, I just didn't care. I just sat there just to see what he would do. If he would drive off, that'd find me. I'd drive off. You know, I'm not interested in this situation particularly. Well, eventually he comes over and says something about. First thing he walked to the back of my car and took a picture of my license plate. You know, and then he got on his phone, blah blah blah, and he came over and he said. And I said, I was just sitting still here. That's just what I said, dead still. Which was the case. He said, well, we'll have to go over here and park and exchange insurance and whatever. I said, yeah, fine, whatever. So I drove over there and parked. There was a place you could pull off there it was by a hospital, and so he came over, but he didn't stop. He just kept going. I said, well, maybe he's decided this is not worth fooling with. But after all, he came back. And when he came back, he had a different attitude, and so I could imagine what had happened. He'd been on his cell phone telling some friend that this guy parked too close to me, and when I backed up into him and hit his car, I'm just going to have to sue him or something. And I can imagine the response is, you backed up into a stationary car. Nobody on the face of the earth is going to be saying it's his fault. Nobody. Neither juror, judge, nor anybody else, you know. You're sitting, you know. So he came out and he came over to me. I could tell he had a slightly different attitude, but he happened to work. He was not at peace, by the way. It was so obvious. The man was not at peace. By this time I wanted to make it clear what happened. I said, sir, you backed into me. I just wanted to make that adamantly clear. and he said, well, it just made a little black thing on my car. I can buff that up and it'll be just fine. Do you want to call it in or something, or you know, whatever? I said, I have no desire for that. And I said, I don't care if my car is injured. It's fine. It might, you know, scraped or something. You got another bump? Well, no, there's several over there. I don't know whether that's another bump or not. I don't count. I don't keep track. Yeah. I could label them 1, 2, 3, but and it really does have a big bashed-in place over there. So what? It works. The car works. That's not my only concern. It's a wonderful car. I love my car, and it doesn't. I've had conversations with it almost, and it doesn't mind being bashed in. It just works good, and I appreciate it.
Character.
It has character, yeah. So at any rate, the point was I wasn't concerned about that. Now, and I'm telling you that to contrast it with something this morning. This morning when I got in my car, I forgot to say I rest in, you know, I intend only whatever I say, you know, and I rest in God. I forgot to say that. Well, that's a trivial thing. Who gives a flip, right? Well, I'm driving along, and somebody in front of me decides they're going to pull right in front of me. I mean, they were just a few feet away, and I felt a little flash of concern. That's abnormal in my life. Why did that occur? Because I didn't say, I didn't put my mind at rest in God. That's why. Otherwise, that's right. So his car goes, and he pulled right back. So why would that concern me? If you're resting in God, you're not going to be hurt, injured, or nothing else. Period. It's just not going to occur. If you're not resting in God, as they say, God knows what will happen. You know, that really means that means anything can happen. And so there's no particular. That doesn't mean things won't happen. It just means you don't need to be concerned about it. I thought I may have misspoke there. I didn't mean to imply that accidents would never occur if in that case. I remember years and years ago another accident that I had. I was going down Kingston Pike about 45 miles an hour. I think it's probably the speed limit, maybe 40. I don't know, whatever the speed limit was. And in the lane in the middle where you turn, in between the yellow lines where you pull into the, somebody had pulled out of a church and got into the yellow lane to decide which way they wanted to go or whatever. And then they decided they want to go back into the church. And so from that, I was here and they were there and they decided right then to go this way. And then I looked up and 4 feet in front of me was a car straddled my lane. You know, I'm going 40. I remember this well. It's cool. I just plowed. I tried to put on the brakes, but the streets were slippery, and I don't bother with keeping my tires whether they're slick. I don't care what condition my tires are in. You know, and so I put on the brake, and they wouldn't hold. You know, that was irrelevant. So I don't. Hey, and here's honest to God, here's what happened. I've never experienced this before or afterwards. An energy came over me, and it said, "All is well." It didn't say it with words. It said it with a feeling of, you're going to hit this car? Oh, that was the first, that's right, that's the first thing I did get the thought first. That thought came in, you're going to hit this car, and all is well. Boom. So I crashed into the car. I wasn't hurt. And in those days, this was about 25 years ago probably, I wore a seatbelt. And I was thrown forward, but I didn't hit the steering wheel or anything. So I wasn't hurt. I got out. I was fine. My car was totaled. Somebody drove me. The people that in the other car were upset. I wasn't upset at all. I was on my way to work. And the only negative thing in the whole thing is I lost a pencil in the whole lot. That was
Your favorite pencil.
I had a pencil in my pocket or something. Somehow I lost that. I don't recall how. And then I went into work, performed my work and all that, and somebody took me back home, I don't know. And the next day I had another car, and all was well. And this is not a concern. So I'm not saying they don't happen. They can happen. But I'm saying that the peace of God is present while before they happen, during the happening, and after, if you allow it. But it doesn't hurt to have a little ritual to say when you first get up, I'm at peace with God today, or whatever suits you, whatever feel. Or when you get in the car, I rest in God. I think that's actually a workbook lesson or something. But it doesn't. What you pick doesn't matter. All kinds of variations are possible. Now, what this means is that in order to benefit from this book or similar ones, you need to have an interactive view of life. An interactive view means that if you are here doing your thing, and here are the clouds represent heavenly things, okay? Nothing comes down from the clouds. There's actually a wall. Somehow you never see an overhang of some sort, and there's just nothing there's nothing coming down. That's not an interactive view. An interactive view is that the clouds are here, and you're getting rained on all the time, or sunshine, or rain, whatever however you want to call it. But divine energy is available. But and if you put your umbrella up, it doesn't get to you. So you don't need an umbrella to protect you from divine love and life and energy. You need to be open to it. It's your choice. Some people are offended by the idea that they might need something from God. I can take care of myself. Fine. Go right ahead. I hope you have a good day. But you don't have, that's only one choice. Or you have two choices. Or you can say, God gives me the day I have. It's up to you. You're not offending God. He may offend you. Our offense is, God, you're supposed to make everything right for me without my having to rely on you in any way, manner, or form. And so when you fall into a ditch, you just get angry because God didn't steer you around it. Well, you didn't ask for yourself. Then you say, well, why do I have to ask? That's petty. That shouldn't be necessary. It should be occurring automatically. Doesn't God know how important I am? I'm supposed to be getting help here. He's falling short on his job of helping me if I don't get it. That's an attitude. Now, the Course says it doesn't work that way. God has this strange characteristic that he really respects to, an infinite degree, our wishes. And you say, well, that's a fault. But it's not really. It's just the way God is. So that if you say you don't want him, you don't get him. If you say, leave me alone, and he does. We're not used to that kind of respect, to what we want. Like other people, you tell them to get out of my way, and they just say, forget it. And they don't care. See? They don't care about your wishes. God has this, again, I call it a strange thing. I actually don't understand. That's one thing I don't understand about why God cares that much about our little petty wishes. You know, my advice to him is just don't ignore them. Do it to them anyway. Give them the help whether they want it or not. Probably would be the thought I would come up with. It's not the best thought, obviously, because God has thoughts are better. But surprise, this is the way you treat kids. I would come at it like I would treat kids. I don't ask kids. I don't wait. You don't wait for the little kids to ask you, Daddy, Mommy, tell me not to go in the street. You don't ask, or I'm going in this, or please give me the help about going in the street or not. I've forgotten whether I'm supposed to do it. You don't wait for that. You see them going in the street, you go in there, you grab them. No, you don't go there. You don't mess around about it. God doesn't do that. You want to go in the street? You get to go in the street. And so it's always, I have difficulty with that one.
Some
Not
people would
serious.
call that malicious compliance. Depending on how you want to look at it.
Malicious compliance.
In other words, I'll do what you want, and if you suffer bad consequences, so be it.
Yeah. So, but evidently God is just incredibly gentle.
Nothing
We
malicious
don't-
about it.
We don't, maybe, that may not be our highest or biggest virtue, but he's gentle all the time. I asked my daughter once, she was about 13 or 14 or something, I said, Laura, am I a gentle person? She stopped, she said, well, sometimes. Well, with God, it's all the time. See? All the time. And you actually have to ask because he's there respecting your wish to lead us a separate life here. This is a separate life. This is not the normal life. Our normal life is being with God, not in space and time at all. But we wanted to have this experience, and so here we are. He allows that. He's not offended by that. He just wants you to come home, you might say. We're not home here. But we can get help from home if we ask. And if we are truly willing to receive it. So,
Would you call that line under the clouds?
Yeah.
Would you call that the veil that the Course talks about?
yeah, I would.
Or I guess the umbrella could be a veil too.
Yeah,
The
that's a
veil.
portable veil.
right.
Yes, Larry.
Illusions.
Bob, are you saying that then the peace of God is in the clouds coming down upon me, so it's not an inside job?
No, I'm saying, no, it's really, the cloud is really inside you. It's just,
There you go.
I don't,
It is an
I
inside
could have
job.
tried to draw it that way, drawn it here you are, and then said to the clouds in here. But it doesn't make as good a picture, okay?
But it's my choice.
Sure.
It's not really external. It's not really
Right.
up there in the clouds.
Because I'm asleep,
Yeah,
just didn't have that choice to awaken or.
right. There's a verse in the Course that says, the Holy Spirit is here to help us awaken to the heavenly company. That he said us, but Jesus speaking in the Court. So he said, the Holy Spirit is here to awaken us, to awaken you to us and to yourself. That's the way he said it. Awaken you to us, that'd be to Jesus, to God, etc., and also to yourself. And then he followed that by saying that is the only real need that time or the world has. It presents many other needs.
So when you ask to be in God's peace or God's prayer before you head out in the car, that is something that comes in from the outside, or just remembering that it is there already?
Either way, whichever works, well for you. But it's just giving permission wherever it is. Hey, peace, wherever you are, you have my permission to enter. But peace comes from God. We're talking about the peace of God. I don't know whether that
One of
answered
the
your
four
question.
obstacles to peace is fear of God, isn't it?
Why?
Isn't that?
Yeah.
The four obstacles of peace. One of them is the fear of God.
Right, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and you know, the Course says that is the strangest belief that mankind has ever come up with. That of all the things in the world that you can ever conceive of, God is at the bottom of the list. He's not even on the list, actually,
Right.
of things you ought to fear. You see.
That's a historical thing that was ingrained in our generations before us, and
Yeah.
I think this is true.
The world is so crazy, it's incredible that any of you are actually here and can speak a sentence, coherent sentence. I may not be able to speak a coherent sentence, but most of you all do pretty good with it. Most of the time, some of
Quite
it.
one together there.
It's just a constant awareness of the presence of God within us
That's
at all times.
At all times.
But we have to become aware of that presence.
Right, and so what we do instead, often, is to fill our mind with something else instead, because our mind, think of your mind sort of empty for a minute, like an empty bowl. And instead of saying, okay, I want the peace and presence of God in this bowl, you say, I'm going to go get some Rice Krispies and put it in my bowl, pour milk on it, and eat my Rice Krispies. And then it tastes good for a few minutes, and they're gone. The bowl's empty again. You can't just eat Rice Krispies all day, so you go do something else. But, now, last night, a friend came over and watched a UT football game because he loves football. He loves UT football. I like watching football. I don't care anything about UT football or BUT football or CUT football or any other kind of football. You know, I'm not a fan, but he is a fan. He knows I'm not a fan, so he knows that I don't care who wins. It doesn't matter. But I just watch the movements, and I think football is interesting. So he's watching this game, and bless his heart, he is so interested in this game, in his desire to have his team win. You know, so it's like if there was a fumble, it'd be, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of him, really. I'm not. And that's not overdone.
It's not uncommon either.
No, it's not
Yeah,
uncommon.
no, it's
Done it
not.
myself.
Yeah, and so I'm watching the game, and I tell you, I'm having a certain amount of compassion for him. Gee, I'm sorry you feel so bad. And I see the fans and they're the fans on the screen. They're doing the same thing. I mean, they, you know, whatever. My cup is full. That's what you were saying. It's already full. I don't need the Rice Krispies, the television set. I just don't need. In fact, they get in the way. And so I make a little effort to make sure I don't get pulled into that, because there is a certain pull. Yeah, but I don't have to work very hard. But my cup is full, and I don't want it to be emptied by this. To have your cup full means that within you there's a peace that's like that. Here's empty down here. Here's
Yeah,
nothing.
gotta fill
There's
it,
nothing.
gotta fill it,
Your
gotta
bowl
fill it.
has nothing in it here.
Gotta identify with something.
Nature abhors the vacuum.
Right, and so if you don't allow the peace of God to enter, nature or you will put something there.
Right.
So instead we put in the football game. You see, and basically what you say is, I'm going to identify myself with the players and this team. And so when they win, I win. Ah, I won. When they lose, I lose. Oh, shoot, somebody hit me in the face. Well, the face looks okay to me, but they're acting like you got hit in the face. And so what it is, you put the football game in here. That's football. However it's supposed to look, I forgot. At any rate, and so you're not empty now. You got this football in here. And I had a thought, and the thought was, I just became so thankful. I was thank God I don't have to put a football game into my bowl. I was just so thankful. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We're not talking about right and wrong here at all. We're just talking about what you want in your bowl. This is so much better, in my humble opinion. You know, if you happen to prefer the other, that's fine. It doesn't make you better or worse. It's just a choice.
It's a constant constant choice.
Yeah, you make it.
It is a constant
That's right.
choice of choosing the awareness of the presence of God.
That's exactly right. Well, at least being open to it. It doesn't mean you have to be in your mind saying, I'm choosing the awareness of God. I'm choosing the awareness. Just being open to it without actually affirming is sufficient. And when it's just, to me, it's just there. And if it goes away, I notice it.
But then we have so many distractions, and that's the illusions that we have, that we need to.
Well, this is a distraction.
Mhm. Yes, definitely.
But it's a really good one as far as the example is concerned because it works so effectively on so many. And I read somewhere, it wasn't of course, but from some other author, that we need to understand, and it's helpful to people who are interested in spiritual things, to understand that the people in a football stadium, what they're doing is not bad. In fact, for them, in a certain sense, it's good. Because it is the closest thing. This is not meant as a judgment, I don't think, by this author. It's just what he said, and he was trying to be descriptive, I think. He said, but for many people, that's the closest thing they have to a transcendent experience. To be at the game. No, I'm not sure it would work watching the game. To have a transcendent, but when you're there with 100,000 other people, and when they make the first down, there's this roar. I mean, it has an effect on you, and it says that that's the closest thing. It's not church. It's the football stadium. Closest thing to a transcendent experience they have, and transcendent experiences are good, not bad. It's just that transcend means pull above, transcend, go over. And so they're pulling away from the ordinary cares of the world. You're late for work. You're not gonna get the raise. In fact, I think you're fired actually. Whatever. Or can I pay the bills? Or what are we having to eat today? Beans again. Okay. Whatever the ordinary worries are, you're lifted above them, and that benefits them.
That's right.
And you should be happy for them in that sense, but also compassion also enters. But I wish this for you, really, not this, because this is an up and down thing. And then I had a flash of an insight. Here's the way to watch. If you got a little bit of spirituality, my friend doesn't have that. He's just not there. If you got a little bit, but you're not ready for the constant awareness thing, okay? You're not even where to. Maybe you'll do it occasionally or whatever. Here's the way you should watch a football game. You say, I'm going to go in and identify with my UTT and oh, there they do. They made a touchdown. Ooh, they're being pushed back. I think there's others. I'm going to switch now. I'm going to identify with the other team because it looks like they may do a touchdown. So now identify with whoever we're playing, BYU. And I'm identifying with BYU. Oh, they made a touchdown. You get to jump up again. And you're just switching back and forth every time. What's wrong with that? Why don't people do that? Then you could go out, no matter who won, and say, wow, that was such a good game. I won throughout the whole game. I was winning.
It's continually positive.
I'm being fairly serious here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see why you couldn't do that. If you decide, first of all, my first goal is to be basically is to love myself and allow myself to be positive all the time throughout this game. And I know I get carried away with what I put myself into it, but I'm just going to switch it. We'll just have a little switch. This way, this way, this way. We can switch machines on and off. You can turn the fan on and off. You can turn your air conditioning on. Turn the television on and off. It's not hard. Off. Look at the other way. Yes, whatever.
Well, enthusiasm is from a Greek word meaning God within, and entheos. And so, to me, being enthusiastic or positive is a God thing, or is a.
Well, that fits in perfectly. We're not doing it do it through the whole game. When UT is losing, because when UT is losing, guess what? BYU is winning.
Well, that's what
Because they
healthy
made a touchdown.
competition is.
Huh?
Healthy competition is you respect the other team and you're happy for them as well as you're happy. And you can see that, oh, wow, that guy's talented. Oh, sorry, he's
Right.
not
Well-
on my team, but wow, that guy's really good.
I enjoy a BYU run just as much as a UT run if it's a good run. If he just falls down, or if he falls down before they tackle him because he tripped, well, I don't enjoy that one quite as much, but not as interesting, but
Yeah, oops.
whatever.
You look at it as an entertainment rather than as a competition.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's like if you'd watch a ballet or something. I don't like ballet much, but anyway. That's just my personality, it's neither here nor there. There's nothing wrong with
It
it.
actually is like watching a play. You can watch a play of the good guys and the bad guys and enjoy their performance
Yeah.
ability equally.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I call healthy competition.
Yeah, right.
The one with the
Why
black
don't
hats, you
people
like.
do that?
I do.
They
They're
like
switching
drama.
back.
They like, there's no drama in that.
Okay, there's the, you can keep, in other words, they value the drama more than enthusiasm, is that a fair statement?
Sure.
I'm saying go
Yeah.
for enthusiasm,
Yeah.
therefore switch the team, switch your allegiance to the team, you know, on a constant basis, depending on who's doing well.
Well, we want to judge with competition. I'm better than you, my team's
Okay,
better than
Yeah,
yours.
look, that's kind of interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it? We value that really more than I'm with you on the enthusiasm. I think enthusiasm is good too. But people, no, I've never heard anybody come out of a football game and say, I cheered so well for BYU, and then I cheered so well for you, I just cheered the whole time, and I'm just enthused. Who won? Oh, I don't know, I didn't notice.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Yeah,
Well, and nobody-
exactly. I won.
Nobody is special either, so nobody ends up being special.
So there's something else that we value more than maybe being special, winning, etc. You
We're
know,
not taught that, though.
Well,
no,
Society
You read the
doesn't.
course.
no, we're not taught that. And so we come to something like this and it teaches that. And it says, hey, this is a piece of leather and whether it's here or there is
That's what I always
That's
say.
Still people.
Jason
more or less
Hall.
meaningless, you know.
Come on.
Except to the extent that the Holy Spirit can use it as a learning device. And what the Holy Spirit would probably say to you is, just be enthused the whole time. That's what forget special. He's not going to teach you to do special. He knows that is one of our main problems.
Well,
But
I-
enthusiasm is fine.
I think true team spirit is you compete with somebody and you both compete to do the best you can
Right.
with each other and to respect that person. I think that's all lost. I think people don't think, they think when you compete that you want the worst for the other person. That doesn't have to be the way it is.
No, it doesn't.
When you compete, you find the best you can do and you hope the other person can
yourself.
do as well.
Right.
That's healthy competition.
Right.
And we
right.
don't have that. We have kill the other guy.
Yeah, that's just an attack.
Yeah.
Let's go and attack. When I was a boy, I went to the YMCA all the time. Get on the bus, ride downtown. I thought it was wonderful. Took only a quarter to get there and get back and buy a Hostess cupcake in the process.
Remember that?
And I'd be down there all Saturday afternoon, and I'd be in the gym, and they playing basketball. Whoever would come in, and there was not competition. I mean, in the trying to win. Everybody's just playing.
Yeah, everybody's
And if you get tired of playing, you just quit and walk off. I mean, you know, bye. You know, it's not like we've got a team here, and hey, you're leaving the team. You say, no, I'm just going home now. You know, not somebody else be sign on, be delighted that you're leaving so they can jump up and take your place. And it was a wonderful time. Some of my best times were like that. But when I come home, no one's going to ask me, well, did you win the game? Well, there was no game. We just played. It's like if you're playing hide and seek. Did you win the game? We just played. You know, whatever. You hid and then they found you, or you ran, or you whatever. You had fun. You had a sort of form of enthusiasm, not quite the same thing.
Well, I had my grandchildren in this weekend, and I played chess with my grandson, and I competed with him, but I really wanted him to win.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Yeah.
There is that competition and the joy of competing, but it doesn't matter who wins, except I got worldly in that I wanted him to start growing up. To me, that's what it was looking
And if you
like.
let him win occasionally, that would be fine.
Oh, no.
You need to build his character too, in losing.
He has to earn it.
But not all the time. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want him to know. You're
No, that's right.
That was like the time that Adam, Luna won, and Adam said, "I'm number 2."
That's right. That was so funny.
He was so happy, and we were both going, "Yeah, you're number 2. That's as good." Luna was
Actually,
going,
2
"I'm
is
number 1."
a bigger number than 1.
Well, see, that's what
There
he
you go.
thought.
It's
That's what we
double.
should have said to
No,
him.
It's
that's what
twice
he
as
thought,
big.
'cause 2 is bigger, higher than 1, so I think that's why he thought that.
So this is the picture that I hope works for you without the umbrella.
Yeah.
Now, there was something else that I was going to add to that. What is it that is brought to us in a miracle? I wanted this is just receiving the peace of God. But let's say you've lost the peace of God and something happens that's bothersome and you ask for a miracle. What does the Course say is brought? Well, it's in line with this. It's just help from God. It says a miracle is a thought. What thought? It's the thought the Holy Spirit has that He's giving you for this situation, whatever your situation is. It really comes. It is like being downloaded into the computer. It's something that's downloaded into your mind. It will not necessarily sound different or feel different. It'll just be your thought. But actually, it'll have a little tag on it, made in Holy Spirit land.
Love.
Made in love, which is Holy Spirit land. Not China, but or
Well, that's Holy
USA
Spirit
or
land,
something like
too.
that, but made. But it will not. But it will. It is the Holy Spirit's thought, and not yours. And so that's why it says it's a thought. And then the Course also says, I think I mentioned this last time, that miracles violate every law of physics, every law of time and space. And I said, how? My first reaction to that would be, that's just ridiculous. Actually, that would be my way. I'm a scientist. You tell me that every time we talk about several miracles, and did every law of space be violated? Was it violated? Did the chair levitate? Was gravity still there? Well, of course. Well, why does it say miracles always violate every law? And it actually says that, every law. Well, we just have to not take that literal or whatever. I mean, it's exactly what it says, in my opinion. Exactly what it says.
Well, in the Holy Spirit's eyes, all these laws we created are not specific or separate. They don't even exist. So you can say you violate one, you violate them all. Right?
Well, here's the way I look at this. Going in line with that, the Course says several things about a miracle. One is that it's a thought. Another is that what it does, it lifts you from a state of wrong-mindedness into right-mindedness. It takes you from listening to the ego to listening to the Holy Spirit. And in order to do that, the Course says so here's where you listen to the ego. Here's where you listen to the Holy Spirit. You've got to get from here to there. And it says that you enter a sphere of celestial order. And what's that? Well, celestial means higher. It doesn't mean physical order. It doesn't mean ordinary order. It means celestial order. And that would be right there. And in that order, it's outside time and space. So all time and space is not valid because it just doesn't apply. And you enter this sphere of celestial order. And in it, you have violation of all laws. And my understanding is that when the miracle happens, that's what happens to your mind. It goes there. You may not be aware of it, but it does it anyway. And that's why the Course says that. The Course, if the Course didn't want to take that seriously, it wouldn't put it there. Hey, you could have left it out. It says miracles do not obey the laws of this world. They obey the laws of God. And so for some moment here, some brief moment that you're aware of it, but then you forget about it. A loss of memory comes into play here probably. And no, at any minute you don't know it. It goes there. And if, by the way, you need, whatever you need is picked up there, it's going to be brought in here. There's no limit. It's saying there's no limit. There's one limit. And that's your unwillingness to accept what I just said. That's the limit. And there's nothing wrong with having a limit. You can't make God mad at you. You remember that, okay? It just doesn't occur. If you want to limit your mind, he says, fine. Hey, she's limited in mind. Great. Give her a star. You get a star no matter. This is not where you do or do not get a star. It's just stars are dumped on you. No matter. You're always right. You can't do anything wrong, by the way. Ever. You can only judge against yourself or somebody else that they have done so. That's all you can do. So whatever you need is picked up here and brought into here. This is he called it a sphere. We don't that doesn't mean that literally because it's not a time-space thing, but it gives us a little something to think about. Okay, maybe like we know what a sphere is. It's a realm, it's a region, or whatever. It's a state of mind, more precisely. That is a celestial order. It knows nothing of physical laws. They don't mean anything to it. If they needed to move you out of one lane of traffic into another lane of traffic without going through the middle, they could do so. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's up to you to decide how much of a rainbow, not a rainbow, how much of an umbrella you want. Probably most people always have a little bit of an umbrella up there. I can accept most of what you say, but you could just materialize in front of me a glass jug. Now you say, well, God wouldn't do such trivial things as that, and the answer is actually Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, they're not going to bother with trivial things. If it's really needed, they're not going to do it. They're not putting on a carnival show for you. Oh, watch me, I can juggle this.
So nothing's really trivial in the Holy Spirit.
Well, nothing that he's going to bring to you is trivial.
Right, so I mean, yeah.
That's for sure. He doesn't deal in the trivial.
It's only we that put the label trivial or judgment trivial on it.
Right. And the other thing he's not going to have, he's not going to make a big play of things. It's important to this whole thing that most people don't believe in that when most people don't believe in miracles, that they don't occur in a splashy way. Because if they did, it would interfere with their belief. And God does not undercut the beliefs of his Son because he's given him free will. It would harm others in a certain sense. If we didn't pay our electric bill here in this building, we said one miracle light, just all the lights just flashed on one night, and they flashed on out there as well, and across the whole city as well. Let's say we've had a power outage. We want the light, and it just pops on, for several blocks. It would upset people once they realized that the power's still off. They wouldn't know how to deal with that problem.
Company did nothing.
Or if God just put a miniature little star right there and just shined on everybody. It's not that couldn't occur. It's just that God respects. Maybe we would be happy with that miracle. Other people would not be. They would say, there's a UFO up there. Get the Air Force out here. I think it's an angel. We'll shoot it down. It's a bunch of angels. Shoot all of them down. We just go to fear. See? And so they're not going to be splashy. It doesn't mean they're impossible. It's just that God has our interest at heart. God does not want to frighten us. But we do have the responsibility for what we put into our minds. If we put something, if it's a little umbrella in your mind, then it's going to work and keep things away. You get to decide how big an umbrella you want there to protect you from God. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.